Hello again, fourth grade, and welcome to lesson 2-8. For this lesson, we're going to talk about reasoning.
How can you use quantitative reasoning to solve problems?
Let's find out.
Okay, now before we get started, I want to explain what quantitative reasoning is. So I'm going to show you actually part of the notes right now before we jump into the rest of the video lesson. So when we're talking about quantitative reasoning, we need to understand what those words mean so that we know how to use it. So quantitative comes from the word quantity, which means a number, to give something a number value. So quantitative means using numbers, and reasoning is when you make sense of something. So quantitative reasoning is using numbers to make sense of something, or when we use numbers to know and what we know to find the answer to a question and show how our work is correct. So I'm going to switch back to our video part for now, and then we'll come back to our notes.
Kara and Carl join their mother on a boat off the coast of the Florida Keys. Their mother is a scientist studying blue marlins. Each child gets to help weigh 2 marlins. How much more did Kara's marlins weigh than Carl's? Think, how can I draw a diagram to help reason how the numbers in the problem are related? I can represent the relationship between the numbers with a bar diagram. Think, how can I use reasoning to solve this problem? I can identify the quantities I know. I can draw diagrams and write equations to show relationships. I can connect the solution back to the real-world problem. Let's look at the problem again. What quantities are given? The weights of Kara's 2 marlins and the weights of Carl's 2 marlins are given. How can bar diagrams help you write equations to answer this question? You can use bar diagrams to show how the parts are related to the whole. Here's my thinking. I can use one addition bar diagram to find the total weight of Kara's marlins. I can use another for Carl's marlins. Kara's 2 marlins weigh 948 pounds and 1,219 pounds. Carl's 2 marlins weigh 895 pounds and 973 pounds. Then I can use a subtraction diagram to find how much more Kara's marlins weigh than Carl's. Kara's marlins weigh 2,167 pounds. Carl's marlins weigh 1,868 pounds. I can use the totals found from the addition bar diagrams as the numbers to subtract. 2,167 minus 1,868 equals 299. Kara's marlins weighed 299 pounds more than Carl's.
So looking at this example, we need to write a problem that can be solved using this bar diagram and write an equation to solve it. We're going to use reasoning to think about the meaning of each number. So I'm going to go ahead and take what we have from these numbers, and I already put them down into my notes. So I took the diagram that they created, the 6,792, with our bar diagram over here, where one part was 2,550 and the other part was our missing part. So what we need to think about first is, what do each of these numbers or symbols mean? Now, 16,792, whenever the number is on top, it means it's the total amount of everything underneath it. So that means that's our whole number or our total. The number that we have in the bar diagram is the part that I know. So I know that 2,550 is part of this. I want to figure out what is the rest of it. So the missing part, or the part that I need to figure out, is the part where I have either a letter or a symbol or a question mark. So I know that that part is my missing part. So the first thing we had to do was we had to write an equation. Now, when we write an equation, we write our biggest number. We start out with our whole number, subtracting off the part we know to find our mystery part. So 16,792 minus 2,550. Okay, now that I wrote my equation, I need to solve. So I stack and solve. That's the first thing that I did. Again, stack by place value order. 16,792 minus 2,550. 2 minus 0 is 2, 9 minus 5 is 4, 7 minus 5 is 2, 6 minus 2 is 4, and 1 minus nothing is 1. We didn't have to do any regrouping while we were doing this. The number that we found was 14,242 is the difference. So that's what we got when we subtracted these numbers. Now, the third thing I want to do to make sure that my answer is correct, and I'm using my quantitative reasoning, I'm using what I know and the skills that I have, I'm going to use the inverse operation to check to see if my answer is correct. So since this was a subtraction, the inverse or the opposite of subtraction is addition. So I'm going to take the parts, the two smaller parts, to see if they will equal my large number. So 14,242 was the answer I got here. I'm going to add it to 2,550, which was the part that I know. So remember, over here, our mystery number, right now we think it's 14,242. I'm going to add these together. Now, if when I add them together, I get an answer of 16,792, then I know that my answer is correct. So 2 plus 0 is 2, 4 plus 5 is 9, 2 plus 5 is 7, 4 plus 2 is 6, and 1 plus nothing is 1. So I got an answer over here of 16,792, which matched this one. So I checked them off to show that my answers are correct. Now my mystery number up here, I know, is 14,242. It's no longer a question mark because I figured out what it is. And I know because I did my inverse operation that when I added these two parts together, I got my whole number. So let's go ahead and take a look at our guided practice questions quickly. Now your first guided practice question, I'm going to put it up on the screen for you so that you guys can see because it does have a couple parts to it. And I'm going to be working on the paper and then I will share the paper with you in just a moment. So it says a manufacturer shipped 12,875 fidget spinners 1 week and 9,843 of them were sold. The next week they shipped 19,175 and 12,752 of them were sold. How many fidget spinners have not sold yet? So we're going to be doing a couple different things. Now we want to use our reasoning to try and figure out how we're going to answer this. There's a lot of information in these numbers or in this question. So our first question asks us what quantities are given in the problem and what do the numbers mean? So we know that we have the quantity 12,875. And we know that that is the quantity of the fidget spinners that were shipped. So this will be the shipped for week 1. Now we know that 9,843 were sold. So those were the ones that were sold from week 1. Now our second set of numbers was 19,175. Those were shipped on week 2. So I'm writing these down as we go. And then 12,752 were sold from week 2. Okay, so when I go back and I go to answer my question, what quantities are given in the problem and what do the numbers mean? I know that there were 12,875 shipped in week 1, and of those 9,843 were sold. I know that 19,175 were shipped on week 2, and of those 12,752 were sold. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the bar diagrams to help me figure out how much were not sold. So let me go ahead and adjust my paper so that you guys can watch and follow along with me as I work. So I'm going to draw a bar diagram for week 1 and a bar diagram for week 2. So for week 1, my number that's going to go on top is 12,875. That's my whole number. Okay. That represents the whole. Now the part that I know is how much was sold during week 1. So I know that part of this was 9,843. So 9,843 is a pretty big chunk of it because that's almost to my number. Now, my second one for week 2, I'm going to draw my bar diagram here, and this is going to be 19,175. And draw the bar underneath. And I know over there about 12,752 were sold. And then I have my mystery number. So now what I need to do, now that I've made my bar diagrams, I need to figure out what the difference is for each one. So how many didn't sell here? How many didn't sell here? And then I need to find the total number of fidget spinners that were not sold. So over here, they labeled these as F for the fidget spinners. So I'm going to stack and solve. Now I have 12,875, take away 9,843. And then over here, I need to do the second one, 19,175 minus 12,752. And once I find those two parts, I can put them together to find my answer. So let's start over here. 5 take away 3 is 2. 7 take away 4 is 3. 8 take away 8 is 0. I can't do 2 take away 9. I need to borrow. So that 2 is going to become a 12. That 1 is going to become a 0. 12 take away 9 is going to give me 3. And there's nothing over there. Now let's do the second one. Now for my second one, I have 5 take away 2 is 3. 7 take away 5 is 2. I can't do 1 take away 7, so I need to borrow. That 1 is going to become an 11. That 9 that I borrowed from will now become an 8. 11 take away 7 is going to give me 4. I'll put my comma over here. 8 minus 2 is 6, and then 1 minus 1 is 0. So I know the fidget spinners over here that were not sold during week 1. Not sold week 1. And over here, these are the ones that were not sold week 2. Okay, now the question is asking me, what are the total fidget spinners that were not sold? So I can make another bar diagram here. And my mystery number over here, my total, is going to be on top. Now I know both my parts because those are the two numbers that I just came up with. So I know that week 1 had 3,032 not sold, and week 2 had 6,423 not sold. Now again, this section is smaller than this section because this is a smaller amount than this amount. So to find my missing number, now I'm going to stack and add. So I have 3,032 plus 6,423. I'm going to put those together to try and find what t equals. 2 plus 3 is 5. 3 plus 2 again is 5. 0 plus 4 is 4. 6 plus 3 is 9. So over here, I know t equals 9,455. That's the total number of fidget spinners that were not sold during week 1 and week 2. So you can see that this question, we did quite a few steps with it. For the first part, we made the bar diagrams. We identified our numbers. So what does each number mean? What is it telling us? This is really important for you to know what numbers you're working with and what they represent. What are they talking about? So week 1, we put over here into this bar diagram. Week 2, we put into the second bar diagram. We stacked them the right way. Then we did our subtraction to find our missing numbers for each. So how many fidget spinners during week 1 did not get sold? How many during week 2 did not get sold? So we found our answer for week 1. We found our answer for week 2. And then it asked us, what is the total number that didn't get sold during week 1 and week 2? So we know that we need to put those two partial numbers together. So I made another bar diagram where I put my two parts and my total missing number over here. I stacked according to place value and added each of the digits. And I found out that the total number of fidget spinners that were not sold during both weeks was 9,455. And I'll write it out. So I know that T is 9,455, which represents the number of fidget spinners that were not sold. So that takes us through our guided practice for this lesson. Please make sure that you are also working on all of your independent practice. So we completed the top portion. Complete 3, 4, and 5 on this page, and then the remaining questions for your independent practice and problem solving on your second page. So make sure you make it all the way through number 9. If you have any questions, definitely let me know. Otherwise, I hope you have a wonderful day. Take care. Bye-bye.